Hello, I'm Chuck Wolf, Chief Executive for Charles J. Wolf Associates, LLC. As a motivational speaker and a leadership consultant and executive coach and trainer, I often work with very successful people and their companies. Since many can't afford a professional, I volunteer to host a radio talk show called The Emotion Roadmap, Take the Wheel and Control How You Feel, on a nonprofit community radio station in Bridgeport, Connecticut, WPKN. My reason for doing the show is to share with as many people as possible this wonderful process for helping people manage their own emotions and their relationships with others. My goal is for everyone listening to learn to use the Emotion Roadmap to make life better. As you listen to me, help others, I hope you are also learning. As a Simsbury resident, I'm delighted to be able to make the show available through Simsbury TV. To learn more, go to my website, www.emotionroadmap.com. Thank you for listening and watching. And this is Chuck Wolf. You're listening to WPKN 89.5 FM, listener-supported radio, serving Litchfield, New Haven, Fairfield counties in Connecticut, and Suffolk County in New York as well. And you can hear us on podcasts these days. All the talk shows on WPKN, including mine, The Emotion Roadmap, Take the Wheel and Control How You Feel, is available to you on podcasts. So if you've missed any of the shows and you want to catch up, I like SoundCloud myself, but you can listen on Stitcher and iTunes as well. Now, the show is called The Emotion Roadmap, Take the Wheel and Control How You Feel, and I'm Chuck Wolf. If you're new to the show and just listening for the first time, welcome aboard. And if you're driving and tuning in, I hope you find the show really enjoyable and worthwhile, and tell your friends about it. If you're a regular listener, thank you so much for tuning in on this very warm and humid day in Connecticut. It's July 4th, and it's a day to celebrate Independence Day. And I hope you have some way of celebrating the independence of our country and the freedom that we all experience here in this country. And one of the things I'd like to talk about today, which is a topic that I like to cover, which is to sometimes focus on a particular feeling, and that topic is going to be about pride. I don't know how you feel about the word pride. I don't even know if you have some discomfort in talking about what you personally are proud of regarding something that you've done or accomplished or achieved in your lifetime, or if you're uncomfortable talking about why you're proud about other people. But I want to encourage you to feel comfortable doing that. One of the things I thought I'd do today is I'd talk about the verb to be proud, but also the noun proud. I'm proud of what? What are you proud of? What are some things that you and your family in this country, in your lifetime, what are you proud of? And why is it important to talk about pride? I want to talk about that. But let me tell you a little bit about the show. Again, if you're tuning in for the first time, you may not know this, but the show is all about taking the wheel and controlling how you feel. There's a lot of people that have some difficulty in managing their emotions. You may be one of them. And it may not be all emotions. It may be emotions like anger or humiliation or sadness or depression, loneliness, embarrassment. There are a lot of feelings that are somewhat tricky to deal with. But some people even have a hard time experiencing joy or love or intimacy. So stop for a second and think, is there anything in particular that you feel that you struggle with? Do you know people that you care about that are having some hard times managing their emotions, their feelings? This show is about helping people take more control over their feelings. And if you've never heard about the show before, my role as the host of the show and the creator of the show is to talk to you about this concept called an emotion roadmap. And the idea of an emotion roadmap is to help people to feel what they need to feel in order to get something done. What do I mean by that? If you have thought about feelings at all and emotions, you've probably thought some about trying to control better the emotions you might experience at different points in time. Or sometimes you may feel overwhelmed by some feelings that you're having. There's lots of reasons why people focus on emotions, but a lot of the time our emotions are just in the background and we don't really think about them much at all. Because of the new science called emotional intelligence, I was lucky enough to work with some of the top psychologists in the world who discovered this idea that we have emotional abilities. The ability to identify how others are feeling. That's an ability. And some of us are really good at it. Some of us are not really good at it. Some of us think we're really good at it, are in the group that isn't really good at it, right? It's also the idea of using emotions. That I don't know what you're feeling at this moment, but whatever it is you're feeling probably is driving some of the ways that you're thinking, some of the self-talk going on inside of you. Like, for instance, if you're listening to me, you're maybe a little curious. And what's this guy talking about? What's Chuck Wolf talking about? And is it something that might be useful to me in some way? Well, if life's treating you really, really good and you don't have any issues and there's no challenges for you personally, then maybe it's not so interesting to think about how do I manage emotions well, because I already do that. But you may know people that don't do it so well. And there may be people that you care about, that you're close to, that even that you love, that maybe you want to help to manage their emotions more effectively. Or maybe it's you, actually, and you're struggling with something right now. Something that's confounded you, something that's upset you, something that's causing you to be uncertain about how to proceed. And my show is all about helping you understand how to use this concept called an emotion roadmap. So if you're feeling anxious and you need to feel confident, how do you do that? If you're feeling disrespected and you want to feel respected, how do you do that? If you're feeling disengaged and you want to feel engaged, how do you do that? That's what the show's about. It's about helping you understand how to move from what you are feeling to what would be more ideal to feel. Those of you that are regular callers, if you want to call in right away, let me give you the number, because I always like to be able to be helpful to people who have waited for me to be on the air. And I'm on the air twice a month, 12 to 1 p.m. on the first and second Wednesdays of each month. I get to follow Carl Frano. If you've been listening and you just heard Carl's show, what a great show. He always has a great show. I love Carl's music. And also I come in after I'm Messiah, and I listen to I'm Messiah on the way into town. If you like reggae, I'm Messiah is the best. He's really fun to listen to, too. So depending on which Wednesday I'm in, I get an audience that kind of follows from those folks. But I also have an audience that just likes to listen because they know they're learning about how emotional intelligence works. That's one of the goals of my show, is not just to help an individual who might call in, but in helping you, if you call me, everyone that's listening will also learn how I use the emotion roadmap to help folks. How I use the emotion roadmap to help folks. So let me give you the number. It's 203-336-9756. 203-336-9756. So if you've been waiting for me to come in so you could call, give me a call now. And I'm happy to talk to you. I'm happy to help you. Now, you might say, well, what would I call in about? Well, that's really up to you. But here's what other people have called about in the past. They've called about issues with people at work. They've called about a problem with a particular manager they had. One time, very recently, somebody called in who was fairly new to his company, and he was a salesperson, and he had some impossible sales goals, and he wanted to know how to talk to his boss about that. By the time we were through, he said, you know what, you might have helped me. You might have saved my job for me. Another person called in because she's an entrepreneur, but she's a little older and a little out of energy. But she wanted some help in trying to figure out how to make her business go. Another was a person who called in about trying to build a team. So those are kind of workplace issues. But there's also people who call in about family issues, whether it's something with a sibling, with a parent, an aging parent perhaps, or something with a child or a spouse, a partner, someone that you love, that you aren't quite getting along the way you want to get along with them. So that's what you can call about. Feel free to call about any of those things. And again, the number, I'll give it to you a couple times, is 203-336-9756. 203-336-9756. I'll give you a moment to call. While I'm waiting for somebody to call, I do want to talk about a topic, and maybe you'll want to call about the topic. The topic is about pride. About being proud. Have you ever had the experience where you're proud of yourself? Were you able to talk about it? Or did you feel like talking about it is a problem? Because if you talk about it, you might find that people feel as though you're bragging, and you might be uncomfortable with that. But let me just talk to you about the definition of pride. This is just something I Googled, and I'll just read it to you. Pride as a noun is a feeling of deep pleasure or satisfaction derived from one's own achievements, the achievements of those with whom one is closely associated, or from qualities or possessions that are widely admired. The team was bursting with pride after recording a sensational victory. Synonyms for pride are pleasure, joy, delight, gratification, fulfillment, satisfaction, a sense of achievement. And here's a quote, you might take pride in a good job well done. Also as a noun, which doesn't really relate to what we're talking about, is a group of lions forming a social unit. And then finally, as a verb, be especially proud of a particular quality or skill. She'd always prided herself on her ability to deal with a crisis, as an example. So that's the way we define pride. But why is it so hard to be proud of yourself and to share that pride with others? And yet, why is it so important? Years ago, I used to be a school counselor. And in my background, I've had lots of experiences that allowed me to be at this radio station as an advocate for you, to try to help you because of the background I have in psychology and in counseling and emotional intelligence. I had a lot of really wonderful experiences. Well, when I was first working with young children and their families, one of the things that I discovered was that you always want your child to have a really excellent self-concept, a belief in themselves that they can accomplish many things, that they're capable of dealing with adversity, that they can handle a challenge, that they're excellent critical thinkers and good problem solvers. You want your child to feel that way. Got a call, just a sec. Hi, this is Chuck. You're on the air. Who am I talking to, please?
You're talking to Joni from the South Shore of Long Island, Patchogue, where the Great South Bay Music Festival will take place.
Thanks, Joni. Thanks for the advertisement. How are you doing today?
I spoke with you about a year ago on a topic concerning living with 3 men. And I was asking you advice of how I could implore them in a nice fashion to put the toilet seat down.
This was all about cleaning up. I remember talking to you, Joni.
Became rather jovial and lighthearted.
Right.
And that lifted my spirits. And I'd like to tell you that in 2 weeks I will be getting my own apartment, and I got through it with a sense of humor and a little bit of advice that you gave to me.
That's wonderful.
A year ago to the day.
Joni, thank you so much. It's so nice to hear that something that we chatted about. And I do remember you, Joni. I remember we were kind of laughing with you at the kind of behaviors you were telling me about, but also suggesting about if you could find some way to be a bit lighthearted about it and to see your way through that. It probably wasn't going to change a whole lot with them, but if they didn't feel coerced, I think we talked about it, and they feel more like they just wanted to help you out, that would work better.
Well, it has worked out.
That's so great. Thank you so much for calling, and congratulations on getting your own place. That's happening pretty soon?
Very soon, yes. Very soon. And the sheet, I can assure you, will be down 24/7.
Okay.
Have a happy Independence Day. And thank you for your advice.
Oh, thank you so much for calling. So I'm asking people to talk about something that they're proud of. It sounds like you're proud of your ability to kind of get through what you had to get through, and that also that you're proud that you maybe asked for help and got help, and that helped to make a difference. Anything else that you want to say you're proud of? Because I want to talk about pride today.
I'm proud that I'm made of good stock, and that I have a sense of humor, and that I didn't let despair get in the way of being focused on a goal.
Well, Joni, I'm proud that you're able to be successful in accomplishing that goal, and I hope that you have a wonderful and easy move, and that the move is everything that you're hoping it will be. I'm sure it shall be. thank you so much for the call, Joni, and I really appreciate knowing that something that we talked about made a difference for you.
And I thank you, Chuck.
Okay, take care now. Happy Independence Day.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye now. Oh, well, that was lovely. So, again, what do you take pride in? And one of the things I take pride in, by the way, is being able to help people. So if you've got something that's on your mind that you'd like to call about, please give me a call. Again, I'm Chuck Wolf. This shows the emotion roadmap. Take the wheel and control how you feel. If you've got something on your mind that you'd like some help with, again, the idea is that you call in, other people listen, they may identify with your situation, but no matter what, they will identify with how you're feeling about your situation and with the way I attempt to help you to feel better, even more ideal for how you want to feel. Because sometimes when you stop thinking about the situation and the context surrounding the situation and you simply focus on feelings, sometimes new options appear as if by magic. And that's what I like to help people with on the show. I'm thrilled that that it made a difference with what Joni and I talked about. And it's so nice to get a phone call that say, you know what, something that you helped with, Chuck, made a difference. Because I take pride in that. But what do you take pride in? I also want to talk about why it's important to take pride. I started saying that, in terms of your self-concept, your self-concept is important, and I know that you think it's important, but I also know that maybe what's even more important to all those of you that have children is the self-concepts of your children. I mean, almost to a person, the people I've talked to about this, they care more about the self-concepts of their children than they do about their own self-concept. Now, that's not true for everybody, but it is true for a lot of you. And so, how do you help your children to have a healthy self-concept? Well, years ago, I read a book by a guy named Faulkner from Purdue who talked about this idea that when parents sit at a table, the dinner table, lunchtime, breakfast, whatever they might be together with their children, and they say to their child or children, you know what, I just want to say something I'm proud of that I did today or yesterday or last night. And they say what it is. And then they encourage their children to say, is there something that you might be proud of? Is there something that you really feel proud of yourself? Because when a parent models the behavior they want, their children feel more comfortable speaking up and taking some ownership of their own pride. And by speaking out loud about the things that you're proud about and having your parents welcome that information and compliment you on your sharing and how it makes them proud to hear you say those things that you're proud of, helps to build your children's self-concept. So I know that sometimes, even in religious teachings, people are taught to be afraid of being too prideful or sounding arrogant or conceited, and so they sometimes shut down what they're proud of and don't share that information in front of others, and yet they want their kids to do it, but when they don't do it and they don't model it, it's kind of like, do as I say, not as I do. But if you're comfortable saying something that you're proud of in front of your family, about your family, doing it somewhat frequently, it helps your children to build their self-concepts. And by the way, it helps your self-concept as well. But if I told you to do it for yourself, you'd feel perhaps selfish. If I tell you the reason to do it is for your children, or for anyone, sometimes you're in a relationship with a partner who has a poor self-image themselves, and you want to help them to feel better about who they are and what they can be proud of. And so, on occasion, you may share, you know what, I'm really proud of something that happened today. And share what that is. And then say, you know what, I'm also proud of you. And then mention something that you sincerely are proud of them about. And then let it pass. And then repeat it again. I don't know how frequently. You've got to kind of feel your way through it. But not once every 2 months. But maybe 3 or 4 times a week. Find something that you can be proud of and something that you can be proud of them about. And encourage them to say, is there anything that you feel proud about this week, today, these past couple of days? And see if you can get people to be more comfortable talking about where and what and how they did something that they take pride about. So that's what I wanted to say about pride. One of the things I'd like to encourage you to do is I'd like you to call in and just kind of be a role model for everybody else out there. Is there something you're proud of you've done that you could share with our WPKN audience? And I got a caller. Hi, this is Chuck. You're on the air. Who am I talking to?
Hi, Chuck. How you doing? My name is Frank from Ansonia.
Hi, Frank. Thanks for calling.
Oh, you're very welcome. It's the first time I'm listening to your show, so a little intrigued by it. I do have a point to what you're just talking about, like sitting at the dinner table and comparing notes. My question would be, do you really think that I'm retirement age, so when I was a kid, yes, we sat at the dinner table and we talked to the parents and the kids at night. Do you really think that happens now? I mean, outside of holiday dinners, and even at holiday dinners, the personal communication devices are out on the table for the kids and the parents. Do you think it still happens that there is an exchange of dialogue between the generations at a dinner table? What I mean by that is, do you think that is a practice where they still sit at the dinner table together and have a discourse on things? So I'm just going to make my statement there. I don't think that happens anymore.
Okay. I appreciate your call, and I will answer that. And I'll tell you that I have a daughter, and she has 2 children and her husband, and they do it. And I also recognize, though, that quite a few people have a problem sitting at a table. First of all, just even getting together at the table to have dinner. That was something I take some pride in my wife, who always asked us to make sure that we made time to sit together as a family and talk. But my kids are older now, and there weren't cell phones available. And I know that it is a serious problem, what you're talking about, where I was together with family the other day, and even though we're together with family, a few of us are on our cell phones, right? So it's like we're with people, but we're not really, because we're kind of engaged in, did something just come into Facebook or email or something that I want to pay attention to now instead of just be present with the people that I'm with. So I think you're right that it is a problem, but I don't think it's wrong for me to suggest you focus on it and pay attention to it, right?
I'm glad. This is why I said that. I'm glad to hear that is a practice for you and anyone who does that. Heartened a little bit that still exists. I don't see it that much anymore. My family, we're all older. Even the young kids, they're into the 7, 8 years of age, 6 to 8 years of age now. So they're kind of becoming not, adults, but they're not kids anymore.
Sure.
And I always liked that when I was younger. I wasn't always happy with what we were talking about, but as I've gotten older, I see the importance of that, of an exchange of ideas. It's just that, hey, I'll be honest, I'm kind of like a troglodyte. I think that this, as the digital age and personal, everything, the internet and all that whole world, it's a tool, but it's also an excuse, and it puts distance between people on a personal level, and not just families, but in general. And no, that's just why I made that statement. I'm glad. I wanted to know if you still think that happens, and I'm glad to hear that in your case it does happen.
Well, are you somebody who has grandchildren?
I do not, but I have nieces and nephews of that age. Spread.
Okay.
So, to a degree, I see it. And granted, I'm a little removed from that because I don't have grandchildren.
Okay.
But it's obvious. I mean, all you have to do is be in social situations, and I can surmise what's going on. Maybe not always correctly, but pretty well. Pretty accurately.
Well, let me share this with you. First of all, sure. If you happen to be with any of your younger family members, and you pull them aside and you're just talking about, just something that you've seen in them that you're proud of, you can do that. You can still do what I'm talking about here. That's one thing. But the other thing is, even with technology, one of the things that I find now is that technology allows you to do a few different things. For instance, in Facebook, I have some friends who are older that have just refused because of privacy issues to just stay off Facebook. But what I find with Facebook is it allows me to know what's going on with a lot of my family in a lot of different places that I wouldn't necessarily be in touch with and probably wouldn't be. But it allows me to say publicly on Facebook about how proud I am about either a niece or a nephew or a grandniece or nephew of something they've done, or even a grandson or granddaughter. But also we have a text message that is just my three daughters who are all married now. And my wife and myself, and just the five of us, we'll just stay in touch through a text message. But I've also, from time to time, put something out where I'm proud of one of them, and then they all kind of chime in about how they're proud of each other. And so you can even use technology, I think, to help to do this. So I think you can't push back the clock, and we're not going to not have ways to communicate technologically that we didn't have before. But yeah, I think you just have to find different ways to make it happen.
Well, as I said, it is, the technology is a tool, and it is properly used in cases, and it can be properly used. But I think too often it's a substitute or in lieu of personal contact, and I think that gets reflected in conversation. In I don't want to sound like get off my lawn, kid, but. It hasn't always been a positive. It's progress, but progress is not always positive.
Absolutely. But let me ask you to kind of close the day out with something that you are proud about. It doesn't have to be about families. Doesn't have to be about technology. Anything you got that you're proud of?
Yes, I feel that I have. If I have a superpower, it's picking, the right friends and the right people to have close to me that I can talk like this with them, and not feel like, the crazy uncle or the crazy guy or something.
There you go.
But, so I'd like to think that I'm a little bit open. I'm open-minded, but I know I'm not as open-minded as I would like to think that I am. But I guess what I'm proud of is that even if it's tainted by realism, I do have a pretty I'm hoping optimistic outlook on things.
There you go. Thank you for the call. I really appreciate it. I hope you tune in again. It's first and second Wednesdays of the month, 12 to 1. That shows the Emotion Roadmap. And okay. I'm Chuck Wolf, and I appreciate the call. Thanks so much.
Thank you for your time.
You betcha. Take care now.
Bye-bye.
Happy 4th of July.
You too.
Thanks. Bye. Okay, so thanks. So we've got two callers. You feel like picking up the phone and calling in? Let me give you the number again. It's 203-336-9756. Who are you proud of? Are you proud of something you've done? Can you share something that makes you proud? Are you proud of anything in our country? We're celebrating Independence Day, and I think as a democracy, we've managed to elect people all these years without any kind of violence. And although there's some scary moments happening in the world around us today, but I'm proud of being an American too, and maybe you are as well. And is there a reason why you're proud about our country? I mean, I'm proud I can practice my religion here without fear of retribution. I'm proud that I can have people that are friends from different faiths, from different ethnicities, and that we can all get along should we choose to. I'm proud that that's encouraged in this country in many places, and I'm proud to be a part of the people doing the encouragement. So is there something you're proud of? What are you proud of? I'm proud of my family. I'm proud of my family members, and I'll talk more about that. But I'll give you a second to call. 203-336-9756. 203-336-9756. While I'm waiting, the show is the Emotion Roadmap. Take the wheel and control how you feel. And you're listening to WPKN 89.5 FM in Bridgeport. And here's a caller. Hi, this is Chuck. You're on the air. Who am I talking to?
This is Rick from Brookhaven.
Hey, Rick. How you doing?
I'm feeling well, and yourself?
Good, thank you.
thanks for your good suggestions and like that as far as life is concerned. I think I've picked up on it a few times, and it's been helpful for me.
Thank you.
I wanted to mention something about thing I'm proud of as an American, and I just would preface it myself by saying, I am, I guess, like a lot of listeners to WPKN, very critical of a lot of things in the United States. I guess you might want to say I'm an American by birth, but a Canadian at heart.
Okay.
And I am more a fan of the social welfare approach to life over in Europe and in Canada, as opposed to the free market kind of cowboy capitalism we have here. But in a more positive vein, I would mention something that Alistair Cook, the fellow who I think he was born in England but spent most of his life in America. So English people considered him an American, and Americans considered him English.
Right.
When someone asked him a similar question about, the things he's proud of or the things he likes in the United States, and someone was going on and on and on about all of the, negatives about the United States, the gun violence, the racism, the riots, on and on and on about all the negative stuff. And Alistair Cook acknowledged there was truth to that, but he says, the amazing thing about America is that you have millions and millions of immigrants with nothing in common, different religions, different races, different cultures, and that there's hardly any social welfare system. It's up to a lot of people. If you don't work hard, you starve, and all of that. Legitimately, there should be riots in the streets. There should be one church burning down another and like that. And the fact that it happens so seldom, and 99.999% of the time, Americans get along and work together. And he said another thing about Americans is that the government in some ways may be lousy, the big shots may be greedy, but that ordinary Americans have a generosity of spirit and a goodness that immigrants notice and really appreciate.
Boy, that's a great comment. Thank you so much for sharing that. I remember Alistair Cook, but I didn't remember the exact statement. I remember him saying something along those lines, and I think you paraphrased it pretty well. What a nice. I hope everybody listening to that, because I know when you said I'm a WPKN listener, and I've got this basic premise that I operate from and feel like social, welfare, etc. Things that I'd like to see different, but at the same time, there is a lot of things to take some pride in. That's what I was hoping the show would do today. And your comment's great, so I really appreciate the call.
Well, listen, I will say, Chuck, that you are part of the solution as opposed to part of the problem. There's a lot of people out there that have different issues in their lives, and a lot of times, a lot of people don't have a supportive family out there, and they don't have, loved ones or trusted people to turn to and like that, and they're kind of in a bind. And sometimes your little tidbits of how to handle things and like that can really make a difference to somebody. So I just wanted to salute you for that.
No, thank you so much, and I take a lot of pride in the fact that I know that from time to time I've helped individuals that have called in, and I'm hoping that people that are listening are finding some help themselves. And ultimately, I hope everybody learns how important it is to pay attention to not only how you feel yourself, but how other people are feeling and how you make other people feel.
Exactly. Well, that's something, that one last thing I've noticed, too, is sometimes it's amazing what you can learn from people from other cultures. Like I know some people at work who were born and brought up in South America. And one of the things I notice is when they say, "How are you?" they say it with a tone of voice like they really, really, really mean it. And when somebody says, "How are you?" and they really have that they mean it, what a difference that is to when you're going to somebody and they're rushed and whatever, and they're saying, "How are you?" and it's like there's no emotion behind it, and like that. Just a little thing like that can really make someone's day in a good way. So.
Well, so one of the things that everybody listening can pay attention to with what you just said is that take a little more time than just passing somebody by and really pay attention to how they are. And it makes life a lot better for everybody if you can take the time to do that.
Okay, well, keep up the good work.
Thank you for your kind words and your really insightful comments. I really appreciate it.
All right, take care. Bye.
Bye-bye now. So great. So that's what I was kind of hoping for today, is this idea that, can you feel something where you take some pride? And I've tried to give you a good reason to take pride, because it makes a lot of us feel better when we recognize that there are things that we can be thankful for and appreciate and really feel some pride in who we are and what we do, and maybe people close to us. If you know somebody that you want to just say on air that I'm proud of, this person I work for, or this person that works for me, or this family member of mine. If you've got something that you'd just like to go on record as saying, hey, I'm really proud that this happened with this person, and this is why, and this is what he or she did, and whatever it is, if you've got something that you can share that's uplifting. The 4th of July is about celebrating our independence and our freedom, and I'm proud of that. And so what are you proud of, and can you share it? Again, the number to call is 203-336-9756, and I'll give you a minute. 203-336-9756. Now, I know there's people out there thinking, well, I got something to say. I don't know if I'm going to share it. Now, I just want you to know it's your turn to pick the phone up, make that call. Thank you. Hi, this is Chuck. You're on the air. Who am I talking to?
Yes, my name is Leon, and I'm just calling this show. I'd like to...
Oh, could you turn your radio down, Leon?
Oh, okay. Yeah.
There you go.
I was just waiting to call in, and I've also been struggling with a lot of things that I've been grateful for that I don't like about this country that happens, and things that I'm thankful for. It's a mixed bag in here in America.
Oh, sure it is. I'm sure it is everywhere. By the way, just for the other person who's calling me right now, I'm all by myself in the studio, so you just have to call back after Leon and I are done. Thank you for the call, though. Go ahead, Leon. I'm sorry.
Yeah, and I'm going through a lot right now because I'm disabled from a couple of accidental falls I had, and I've been living in real squalor almost squalor, for the last 3 years almost. I'm trying to get settlement on some, trying to get some money to, improve my conditions. But, if I'm 67 years old, but what I wanted to be most proud of is I have a nephew that's in his mid-30s. He's currently living in Atlanta, Georgia. And something that seldomly happens in my community that I'm not proud of, he has done that I wasn't able to do, is he adopted his godson that was having a lot of problems with his family. So my nephew and his live-in wife, adopted him, and my nephew already had 2 boys, and his wife had a girl, and he took this kid, and this is something that is not all that widespread in the African American community, where they got a lot of kids in need of adoption, and this is something that I'm really proud of my nephew, and I know he might not be able to hear me, but his name is Russia, and my name is Leon. He's in Atlanta, Georgia, and I'm real proud of him. But I wanted to say that I'm not so proud of the fact that, I get the little assistance that I do get here in America, but, I've been through some real trials. At 67 years old, I was hurt, and after my freshman year in college, I came home and I got an accidental gunshot wound from a .44 Magnum that no longer allowed me to continue my schooling because I was, have not scholarship, but under the athletic department where, I was supposed to play basketball and college wrestling, and all that went down the drain. And the sad part about it is, I didn't even get none of the money that was out of the class action suit of the Stern Ruger company that had these defective safeties on these 357 and .44 Magnums. Wow. Basically ruined my life. But, I'm proud of the fact that, well, there's not many people left in my family, but I still get help from a lot of people that are not related to me. I got a nurse that comes in. She's an extra helpful named Sandy that, she goes out of her way to do things. And aides, because now I'm not really able to take care of myself. So, I got these aides and nurses that come in every day. And I'm just so thankful. I hope that it's been almost 3 years now. I've been waiting for a settlement on, to get some money to try to straighten out something. I'm even right now on the verge worrying about losing my apartment. But, I'm going through these struggles. They say there's help, and I'm pursuing it. But America, like I said, when it's open and above us getting together, it's a mixed bag of things. And, it's rough sometimes. And then it's nice sometimes, so...
Yeah, well, you're right about that, Leon, and, I certainly hope for the best for you. There's not much I can do about your situation other than to say I appreciate your call and sharing something special about, was it your nephew you said?
Yeah.
Yeah, because I think there are, sometimes people say, all, lives matter, whether it's Black Lives Matter, or sometimes people say, the issue all about abortions, and people talk about lots of things about life. And I think with all the kids who are in need of homes, what your nephew did is so great. To be able to take somebody in who was struggling and give them a home is just, that's something to take some tremendous pride in, and I'm glad you shared that.
It's like the ultimate that you can expect out of a young couple, man. They really got
it's awesome. Yeah.
Scheming about that one,
Yeah, and I hope that that good things come your way and that you have more good in your life than the other. Yeah. We all got to struggle, Leon. I appreciate keeping your attitude up, and thanks so much for the call.
All right. Thank you very much.
You betcha. Bye-bye now.
Goodbye.
Hi, this is... Hello. Oh, I missed that call. I'm sorry. If you want to call back, the number is 203-336-9756. And, there's a lot of people struggling. Leon certainly had his share. But, again, finding something positive. That's great when you can. Hi, this is Chuck. You're on the air. Who am I talking to?
Hi, Chuck. This is Yogi, and I'm a first-time listener.
Hi, Yogi. Thanks for listening.
I am fascinated by this topic because many years ago, at age 17, I was an exchange student in India, and the family I lived with, in a conversation I was having with them, was shocked when I said I was proud to be an American. They looked at me and said, "You don't seem like a proud person. You seem very humble. You're not arrogant." And I was really confused because I'd been raised around the idea of being proud and having self-esteem. And I actually have never said I was proud again since then. Even raising a child, and people would say, "Oh, you should be so proud of him." I'd say, "Well, I'm really pleased. I'm happy. I'm glad for him and for me." But I have resisted pride, and I wondered how you saw that view of it.
Well, I think I think you're a great example for what's happened to people around this topic because, you're getting shut down by that family. I'm sure they didn't mean anything bad by it, just the same way that I'm sure in religious practices people don't mean to make people feel less, to lower people's self-concepts. I'm sure that's nobody's intent. But because we've been concerned that people sound arrogant or conceited or full of themselves somehow, we've kind of shut down the idea about why pride's important. And that's why I thought, it's a special day today where we can take some pride in our country. But I think the whole concept of being able to say we're proud, I'm hoping after today, Yogi, you'll start saying you're proud again. And that maybe that just having permission that, hey, look, I'm proud. And that doesn't mean that I'm full of myself, or that doesn't mean that I'm, I think less of you because I'm proud of something I did. I'm proud and I'm pleased to say it. And I feel okay about that. And you should too if you're proud of something you've done. I think it's like something that we kind of have an uphill battle against because it's sort of been taken away from us. And yet I think there are a lot of things to be proud of. And I think being able to say we're proud of something as a role model for those that we want to have strong self-concepts, and particularly our children, because I've always known that you can't change someone's behavior unless you find the right reason for them to change, something that's motivational to them. And just telling parents who were raised with the idea that saying something where they were proud of themselves sounds prideful and wrong, But if you do it for your children or you do it for others who you care about, who may have low self-esteem, but just to acknowledge it's okay to take some pride. It doesn't mean you do everything well. Just like Leon said, there's a lot of things in his life that he really struggles with. But if he stops and thinks, there's something he's really proud of. And the example he shared was wonderful. So I think if we can find more examples of where we're proud of each other and of ourselves, I think life's a little better for everybody if they're feeling better about themselves.
Well, listening to you, I recognize one thing that I'd never actually gotten before, which is the family heard me in relation to themselves. They might not have felt proud, and so then they saw me as being arrogant, as being able to say that, because maybe in the Indian culture, pridefulness is considered, less than noble. And so they listened from their filter, and I took it in as meaning I was being insensitive to them. And really, pride is, I guess, an individual experience. It has nothing to do with the person who's listening, does it?
No, in fact, but if you were to go back in time and have a chance to revisit with them, you might. I mean, one of the ways I think about this is if somebody says something to me that confuses me, and I think it's wrong even, but I think they're a smart person, I'd say, gee, that's really interesting. I meant nothing by it other than I take some pride in certain things that I've done. Why would you feel the way you do about it? And just hear them out and learn about their culture.
The me today could definitely do that. The 17-year-old was just
really hard to do, of course, right?
Yeah.
Right.
And they were my host family. I didn't want to offend them. I just was kind of lost over it. But you've given me a lot to think about, and I really love this station. I didn't know there was anything other than music, so it's fun to hear you today.
Oh, well, I'm glad the holiday gave you a chance to listen. Anyway, have a great 4th of July, Yogi, and be comfortable sharing how you're proud again. I hope that's something that comes up for you, and you allow yourself to do that.
I'm definitely going to work on it. Thank you.
Okay, take care. You have a great 4th of July.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Hi, this is... Oh, hello. Oh. All right, somebody else was calling. Again, I'm by myself at the studio, so I can't really... until somebody else hangs up, I can't pick up. But somebody else just called, so I'll give you a second to call again. I've got a little bit of time left today. I'm on the air for 1 hour, and at 12:55, I go off the air. So the number is 203-336-9756. Looks like we got a caller. Hi, this is Chuck Wolf. I'm on the air. You're on the air. Who am I talking to, please?
Yeah, hi. You're talking to David. I come from Trumbull.
Hi, David.
Hey, how you doing? I'm a very, very, very big fan of PKN.
Great.
I have a little bit of a different take about this question regarding what are you really proudful of.
Okay.
So here's my thing. I'm very proud that we still live in a democracy.
Okay.
One that is constantly under assault right now, and that I'm very proud that the systems of checks and balances are still working. Now, the thing that I'm proud of, this is sort of piggybacking on the person who was just on, is that I'm proud of myself for not succumbing to the toxic and the vitriolic messaging that's coming out of the current administration. Basically, ostensibly, what they're saying is, you are who we say you are. And I do not succumb to that. I do not buy that. I consider myself a great patriot. I consider myself a liberal. I think I'm more patriotic than some of the most conservative people who are espousing hate. And I am very proud of myself, and for many people who are not giving in to the despair. And as far as an emotional roadmap is concerned, I am struggling with this idea of how is a person supposed to feel when the values that they cherish are betrayed by the country that they love. And with all of that, at the end of the day, I am still feeling that I am adhering to the principles that the country was founded on, in spite of a systematic way to just destroy the institutions that have made this nation as great as it is. And I am proud of not giving in to the hate.
Well,
So,
let me
I know
let
that's
me
a bit of a mouthful, but
can I give you a thought, something to think about as far as
Yeah, please.
things that you might be able to do from an emotion roadmap standpoint? So I felt like after the election, there was a lot of vitriol, both ways, by the way. And I felt like there's people who have stopped talking to each other within families because of this stuff. And
Correct.
And I wanted to find some way to again, I want to make a difference. I don't know if you heard the beginning of the show, but when this woman, Joni, called me and something that I had said really mattered to her and made life better for her. I mean, I love that. And so, but this was on not on an individual basis, it's on a larger scale. So now, not everybody agrees with this, but this is my approach. I worked very hard recently to work with a group called No Labels. And No Labels is a group that has helped to create something called the Problem Solvers Caucus in Washington, which is 24 Democrats and 24 Republicans who have pledged to work together. There's a lot of detail here, and I won't go into all of it. But one of the things that I did recently was I helped to sponsor a panel discussion about what's happened to civility in America and how can we get politics to work so that people aren't. If the Republicans are in office, the Democrats are obstructionists. If the Democrats are in office, the Republicans are obstructionists. Where are the people working together? Where are the statesmen instead of the politicians? And so one of the things that I found, and maybe this is helpful, I hope, to people listening, is that in the primaries, where most people don't think it matters, because people take a lot of pride and I feel very patriotic because they vote all the time. But one of the things that I understood from having to help create this panel on politics and free speech at Yale recently, we did this in March, was that the people that get elected, for instance, in most of the districts around our country, we already know that a Democrat's going to win that district or a Republican's going to win that district. And there's all kinds of reasons for that, including gerrymandering, but all kinds of other things as well. And we know who's going to win that election based on party. But what we don't know is who's going to win the primary. And if you want someone that's going to be a voice that you respect and you feel is reasonable and you feel is someone that's going to help to make this country great again, get involved in the primaries. Because in 95% of the cases, the person who wins a certain primary is going to be the one elected. Just something to think about.
That I know. No, you're right about that, and I've been very good about making sure that I have voted in primaries. And one last thing that I do, and then I leave some time, maybe there's one more caller or just before you have to go, but that is when I overhear an opposing view, if I'm sitting in a restaurant or I'm sitting in a park or wherever it is, I will approach occasionally, depending on what I feel is the level of the sort of the angst coming from the other person, I will approach them and say, can we talk about that one thing that you said in a way that is civil and that in some ways would be world historic? If we can sit and just look at that point that you just made, and can I try to understand more about what you're viewing before I seek to be understood? And I find that people are hungry for that.
I agree with you. That's a great point.
I'm proud when people can say, okay, let's talk about that. Let's agree to talk about that. And I walk away feeling that that's 5 minutes that was not wasted. That was good time, and that maybe changed the world in a little bit more of a shift. So anyway, I've taken up a lot of time, but I appreciate the call. I mean, you being on, and if there's time for one more, then I'll listen to that also. But
Thank you so much, and I love your last comment. I mean, to me, if we can get more civility and respect back in people, and just what you said, I'm a big fan of people who are in office that they don't necessarily have to vote the way I think they should vote, but they do need to listen to all sides and then try to make a decision based on what's in the best interest of the people that support that voted for them and what's in the best interest of the country and not what's in the best interest of the party. That's really part of what I think.
John Kasich is a great example of that. Anyway, thank you very much for all your time and having this show. Much appreciated.
Thanks so much for the call. I appreciate it.
Sure. Okay. Bye.
Bye-bye now. So you've been listening to Chuck Wolf. Take the wheel and control how you feel, everybody, and have a wonderful July 4th. I want to thank all my callers. I had quite a few today. The show is about taking pride where you can and understanding how important it is that you become a role model for that. And we closed on the idea of being civil and respectful. And I know I have another call. I'm sorry. I got to go. Joe Shelley's coming on, I believe, to take the show on from here. Thanks, everybody. Have a great day. A great show. Take care.
Funding for Simsbury Community Television is provided in part by contributions from viewers like you. Thank you.